Who do you call when you need to stop an endless army of junk robots that are swarming over the city? That's right, a biker gang. Steel Rats is a 2.5D action platformer released November 7th of 2018 by Tate Multimedia, whose previous game, Urban Trial Freestyle, was very well received, and it's obvious they are wanting to build on that success. However, this is a game I've heard nothing about, and stumbled upon it while digging through for games to review. In the Steel Rats, you play as the members of the Steel Rats, a biker gang sworn to protect the city against an army of invading alien robots using their tricked-out motorcycle with chainsaw wheels. Now, as somebody who grew up watching Biker Mice from Mars, I was on board with this plot, so let's dig in and see what we can find. Gameplay is rather unique for this style of game, platforming and simple combat all being done while driving a motorcycle. The four characters of Steel Rats all have different abilities, which make them fun to switch between during missions, as their abilities can be used to make certain sections easier or harder depending. Steel Rats is very fast-paced, often requiring you to think vertically as you chainsaw wheel your way up buildings, shotgunning robots and doing sweet flips as you go. The main drawback to the gameplay, sadly, is the controls. The game demands a fast response time to some of its sections, but controlling forward, reverse, left, right, tilt forward, tilt backwards, normal attack, charge attack, chainsaw wheel, turn around, and hop, and remembering what order to hit them in, all kind of left me smashing into walls a lot. Which kind of ruined some of the atmosphere as I fumbled the controls during an intense section and drove right into the enemy robot. This is something that gets better as you play and get used to the controls, however, it kind of makes for a bad first impression. While the controls do take some getting used to, once you get used to them and successfully get your way through a hard section, you feel like the coolest biker of all time. The story of Steel Rats is a fairly simple one that's told well. There are cutscenes before each level section telling large chunks of the story. The artwork in these is well done, and I was looking forward to progressing just to see the next one.
I thought I was done for.
There are also in-game radio broadcasts from the world's largest antenna, explaining what is currently happening.
This is a CSRB reporter with an official emergency broadcast from the town hall.
The game starts with you having to gather up the scattered Steel Rats one at a time, as they introduce new enemies and story elements as you go. Some of the story points don't make much sense if you think about them too much.
Stop the invasion.
Makes sense. The army and police don't have our speed and our maneuverability.
On the whole, though, the story is interesting enough to keep you going through the next section just to find out more. The four characters that make up the Steel Rats are James, the fearless leader, always there to give helpful advice.
Hey, cool it. Use your headlights.
Lisa, their fastest racer, who I kept driving into fire by mistake. Toshi, the teenage genius, who I saved for all the combat sections. And Randall, the biker prince, who was really wanting bonkers to be his catchphrase.
Let's get bonkers! Let's get bonkers! Bonkers!
These characters are fun and add some great life into the game. Sadly, no game is perfect, and Steel Rats is no exception. Aside from the controls, the game can at times feel rather empty. Some levels are intense and interesting to get through, while others are almost just straight paths to the end. I personally can't help but feel like this game was crying out for a rock and roll soundtrack that it just doesn't have. Or at least something that would have helped up the energy in certain sections. Which is honestly kind of surprising because there are other soundtrack moments in the game that are just great, and I personally am a big fan of the music that plays over the end credits. The music is in no way a deal breaker and is very much a personal taste thing, but it does leave some of these sections feeling rather more empty than they actually are just from the kind of silence that follows you through them.
So, we're really doing this?
There are also a few bugs that I've run across, some of which just look funny. Others which messed up the control so I got stuck and lost the level. and one weird one where I was catapulted into the void by a large robot. But while dying to a bug is always frustrating, it was never enough to make me want to stop playing the game. Steel Rats is the kind of game that I love finding while working on Best Intentions. This is a game that has fun, interesting ideas and was not rushed out into early access, or trying to charge you micropayments every few seconds. While it's not a perfect game, I had a ton of fun while playing it, and this is one that I played through all the way to the end just because the gameplay was so much fun. I feel like this is one game that deserves to stay a bit closer to the surface of Steam. I recommend Steel Rats. If you're looking for a unique side-scrolling action game, go check it out. I personally am looking forward to what Tate Multimedia puts out next, and also secretly hoping that it's a gritty Biker Mice from Mars reboot, because we need that. It needs to happen. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to keep up to date to what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go continue my experiments of attaching chainsaws to motorcycle wheels.